morning and happy Wednesday to everybody. So today we're making chicken pot pie. So I have all the ingredients ready here. So we have our chicken breast, carrots, celery, onion, some chicken bouillon, and some chicken broth. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get the chicken and put it in the pot, and then I'm going to add the chicken broth. And then I'm going to start cutting up my vegetables. So I'm going to get started with that and we will be right back. Okay, so I'm going to put the chicken breasts in the pot. I have 4 that I'm using. Some of you are going to be using 2. And then here is chicken broth. And this is just for flavor, so we're cooking the chicken in it, and once the chicken is cooked and we take it out to cut it up, we're going to leave that broth in there because that's going to add lots of flavor. So for you guys, add your whole container of chicken broth, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we have the chicken breasts in the chicken broth, and I've turned that on high, so I'm going to bring it to a boil and then turn it down, and I'm going to let it cook for about 20 minutes. And you can just check your chicken to see if it's done by taking one out and cutting it in half, and if it's pink, put it back in for another 5-10 minutes, and if not, it's done. You can take it out to cool, and then we're going to cut it up then. But for now, I'm going to start on the vegetables. I'm going to cut up the carrots, the celery, and the onion. So we'll be back. 2, 1, go. Okay, we're back. So the chicken has boiled for 20 minutes in the chicken broth. So I am going to take one out, and I'm going to make sure that it's cooked. And all we're going to do is we're going to cut right into the middle of it. And that looks good to me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of the chicken out, and I am going to cut it up, and then I'm going to put it back in the pot, and I'm going to leave this on because the chicken will be going right back on. So just about close to medium heat there, and then we will be adding Okay, we're back. So we have all our ingredients ready. We have everything chopped up. The chicken is chopped up, and now all we have to do is put it back in the pot. So we'll get the chicken in there, and the heat is still on. Okay, we're gonna get all the chicken in there, and then we're gonna get the vegetables in there. Carrots. And if you want to add more carrots or more celery than what's called for, it's great, because you know what?
All right.
It's a good way to get more veggies in there for the kids. So
check this out. Ooh, very nice. All right. We will be right back.
Okay, so if you want to come and have a look over here, see, there's lots of vegetables and lots of turkey in there, so we need more water. So I don't have any more chicken broth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some hot water, because we kind of want to just get that so it's covered. And then
how much hot water, Terry?
It just, if you want to come and have a look, see how now everything's covered, because you don't want too much, otherwise you're just going to have a soup. And we're going to thicken this in a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of these chicken bouillon, and then I'm just going to turn it up, let it come to a boil, and then let it simmer. Okay, as you can see now, so it's just enough to cover it. I have turned it on high, and I'm going to bring this to a boil. I've added 2 cubes, and I might add more, just depends. So once it gets boiling, and then I'm going to turn it down, and then I'm going to simmer it. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to get started on my biscuit dough. Hello. Okay, so now we are going to start our biscuit topping for the chicken pot pie. So you have your recipes and your ingredients. So assemble all those together and we will get started. Okay, so now this has simmered for about 15 minutes and then I'm just going to turn it up a little bit. So what I'm doing here is I have my flour and my water so you can see the consistency of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour that right in there. Pour as much as you think because you can always add more. And then so I've turned the heat up a little bit so we can get this going, and then what that's going to do is that's going to thicken it up quite nicely. So I'm sure I need more than that. So while we're gonna let that thicken up, I'm gonna go over and we are gonna start doing our biscuit topping, and we'll be right back. Okay, so here I have my 4 cups of flour and I am going to add my little teaspoon of salt. So there's that. There is my 2 tablespoons of sugar. And here is my 8 tablespoons of baking powder. Okay, and then what you do with that, give it a quick mix. Mix that up. Then now you're gonna add your 1 cup of margarine. So just scrape that out. And then I'm gonna show you how to mix that margarine in there. Okay, so now we have the margarine in there, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a knife, and what I do is I put a little bit of flour, sprinkle that on the flour, cut it up. Sprinkle some flour, cut it up. So what you want in the end is you want this margarine to be just like little bite-sized pieces, and just keep mixing it in there. If you have a pastry cutter, that would be great. We don't have one here, so that's okay. So we're gonna keep doing this, and as soon as I'm done, we'll be right back and we'll add the milk. Okay, and then here I have my 1 1/4 cup of milk, and I'm just gonna add that in there. And now I'm gonna stir it with a spoon. Keep stirring, make sure you get all that liquid in there, and then you'll notice that it's gonna get, and you think, well, how's that gonna turn into biscuits? Well, it will. So we're gonna keep mixing, and then once it gets a little bit too hard, we are going to get in there with our hands.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, so I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now this is where we're at with our biscuit dough, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna get in there with your hands. Just get in there and start squishing it together. Get over, and then you'll notice the more you do that, it seems like it's kind of dry, but it's actually not. And you'll feel that it's sticking together. And what you want to keep doing is get all the crumbs in there. So keep doing that, and then we'll be right back, and then I'll show you what it looks like once all this part is done here. Okay, we're back. So now this is what your biscuit dough looks like. Let's move this out of the way. And what I do is just using the palm of my hand, I'm gonna flatten it out a little bit.
Do you need to sprinkle flour down first?
I do. Well, it's actually not sticky because there's the butter in there, but you can. So, I'll be right back. Okay, so there's flour on the counter. And just push it together. You don't want it to fall apart. And then here is my rolling pin.
If you don't have a rolling pin, you can also use a glass.
Or you can use, if you have a jar and you put cold water in it and then make sure the lid's on tight, you can also use that as a rolling pin as well. And if you find you have little pieces of your dough that are open, just squish them back together. And so we're gonna roll this out.
I think you can get rolling pins at the dollar store too, can't you?
Probably, and it's always handy to have a rolling pin because then you know what you might find yourself doing more baking, fresh pies,
okay, Terry.
so much baking you can do. Okay, so I've rolled out the biscuit dough, and what I've done is I've tried to roll it out as thin as I can because it's biscuit dough, and if you roll it this thin, it's going to rise a lot, and you just don't want to have it too much bread on top of your chicken pot pie. A little secret I'll share with you is, because we're going to put that whole piece on there so we can measure it out, just give it a little squeeze.
Oh, nice trick, Terry.
See, so you have that in there, and then that's the outside of the pan. So what I do is I'll just cut on the inside of the line, and it doesn't matter if it breaks apart, it's okay. And there we go. Then our next step is going to be to put that on the top of the pot pie. Okay, we're back, and now you can come and have a look at the chicken pot pie filling, and you can see the texture, like the thickness of it. This is perfect. So just have a quick little taste, and you know what, if you want to add some more chicken bouillon, maybe a little bit of salt and pepper, that'll probably be fine. And then what we're going to do is now we're going to add it to, well, some of this, because I actually don't have a recipe, so I'll show you where to fill it to. Okay, so see where I'm at for where the top is, and this is going to be perfect. So we're going to just set that right there, and we'll be right back, and I'll show you how to put the biscuit topping. Okay, so I'm just kind of pressing this together, and if it kind of falls apart, that's okay, because you can always just stick it back together or just put the dough on there. So now,
ooh, let me come around this side.
Now, and I'm just going to lay that on top.
Wow.
See, now you have biscuit topping on your chicken pot pie. So now that is ready to go into the oven. So our oven is preheated to 400, so now we can put it in there, and we're gonna put this in for 30 minutes. Check it at 20 minutes though, depending on your oven. It might be hot, but that should be nice and brown. So we'll see you back when it's done. It's left to go. So let's have a look and see how it's doing. Oh, so it's nice and bubbling, so it'll be perfect. This one here is the second one I put in, which has 20 minutes to go, so. Okay, our timer is done. It is time to take the chicken pot pie out. Okay, I am trying some chicken pot pie. Oh, it's really good, and just the right amount of biscuit topping on there, so enjoy.